listening to The Edward Fowler Show. Now, here's your host, Edward Fowler.
Welcome back to another episode of my show. And on this flashback edition of the show, we're bringing you somebody on from August of 2019. Now, by the way, we should mention we're almost at the end of these flashbacks from the 2019 where there is no video format. So we're getting nearer to the time now where we'll see video version of clips if you follow me on social media, where you will see the actual person, because from around June-ish onwards, I started to go live on YouTube with great interviews with UFC fighters, for instance. So you'll be seeing some of them popping up in the future episodes. But this is from August of 2019. We're getting there. There's a few others that are not posted before August. I'm just thinking, should I post them? But they might get posted at some date in the future. I've just not decided yet. But on this episode, however, I've got the privilege of having on a great, at the time, a great up-and-coming referee in the world of wrestling, featuring on Major League Wrestling at the time. Now also does Game Changer Wrestling, I think it's called, GCW. It's quite a hardcore promotion nowadays. But back then in 2019, he just recently did a taping for MLW where he did get put through a table by Jacob Fatu. And that was quite an interesting story which he told me. Of course, back then as well, my persona was very different to how I am in 2024. So I hope you will like this interview. Please welcome my full interview right now with Dan Perch. Paired on the MLW Fusion in the Milwaukee tapings. You may know most of his work from going through a table, but he does have some TV experience now here in the UK, so you probably recognise who he is once we talk about what happened in Milwaukee. But please welcome along professional wrestling referee Perch. Welcome to the Edward Fowler Show.
Yeah, I'm a local wrestler and referee in the Wisconsin area, Milwaukee area. I train the same way as everybody down at a camp called the Thumper's Den. Okay. Down in South Milwaukee, where the Beer City Bruiser is our trainer.
Nice.
So I work very, very closely with him 3, 4, 5 times a week, teaching me the business, teaching me the ins and outs, and really allowing me to study the art and the sport of professional wrestling. So that being said, anything that comes to the Milwaukee area or the Wisconsin area, I am more than willing to try and hop on board with, as well as much work. We're taught to work outside the state and different territories and different areas. So traveling is never an issue, and we're encouraged to do so. However, whenever someone or a company comes into town, comes into Milwaukee, our backyard, darn right, I want to be available and willing to do anything that they may need or offer my services for a good day's work. So yeah, I was contacted with a couple of officials from MLW when they were in town. I reached out to them, sent along my information, and showed kind of how I would be an asset to their company. And they were able to reach back out to me and work something out to find a way to get me involved, which was awesome.
It was awesome. The fans of Wisconsin were on their feet, on the edge of their seats throughout every match and every contest. It's happening over the tapings. I wish the MLW crew were there a bit longer, but it didn't really happen. But how was the TV tapings for you? Because you had a lot of action, a lot of different matches, different match styles, which you may not have refereed before.
Yeah, no, it was to say the least, it was different styles for sure. With a day of TV taping, it makes for a long day of wrestling, but by no means does it feel long, because when you're in it, it's so much fun. It is one of the best days of work that someone can have. So, made myself available. Once we got to the arena, figured things out and figured out what matches I would be working for the day. and got to work with a lot of wonderful talent who I had just met that day.
Oh, wow.
As well as a few people who I've met previously through being on the road.
Of course.
So yeah, it was cool to see what matches I was going to be doing and who I was going to be working with, because a chance to work with anyone in a company such as this is a great opportunity to have experience working with them, let alone inside the ring during a match, is a great learning experience and an awesome career opportunity. So yeah, it was very cool to be privileged to work with those guys inside the ring.
Yeah, and did you know that you're going to get some TV exposure, not just in the USA, but in other countries, including the best in the world, the UK, on Free Sports, every single Monday night at 10 p.m. on Free Sports. I had to plug that. I may get in trouble not plugging that, but there you go. A free plug there for Free Sports. But yeah, did you know you're going to get some free exposure to the world of the UK?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to TV syndication, certain companies in the United States, you have to search to find once in a while. With as many platforms as there are nowadays for consuming professional wrestling, sometimes it's as easy as turning on a laptop. Sometimes it's as easy as turning on a phone. We're kind of straying away from the turn on the TV and you can find the channel with what you want.
Yeah.
So to know that, as you said, on the Free Sports Network over in the UK, that's the first time I heard. I knew there was some exposure, but I didn't know how easily accessible it was. So that's awesome. That is awesome to hear, that you guys have regular Monday nights, turn it on, and you're good to go.
Yes, indeed.
The YouTube is my best way of watching currently for the MLW product. So, little difference from the UK to where I'm at here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, that's awesome to hear that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people enjoy the action, and I believe, I can't remember now, I get so many treats now because I'm so popular, which is great. I love it. But I can't remember now, I might be wrong, but I did get a like from Court, the CEO, and I think the founder of MLW. I wrote something like, what a great show. Oh no, poor referee going for the table. And I think he liked that tweet from me about that. Again, I would have tweeted that to you, but again, I didn't know what your handles. I know you're on Twitter. But who isn't? Yeah. But I didn't know your Twitter, so I couldn't tag you in it. But we will get on that in a few minutes. I want to hear your side of things about that. But on the MLW tapings, then, who you mentioned before that you've met some of the people beforehand, and can you tell us who did you meet beforehand, like in the past that you worked with so far?
Yeah, the one of the gentlemen in particular that I had worked with in the past. Growing up in the Midwest wrestling area, Airwolf is a very, very talented young man out there on the weekends and week as well, trying to make a name for himself and get himself out there, as well as putting in good work and investing in himself to find himself in opportunities, in great opportunities, which is very cool. So he was really the one gentleman that I had met going into the day that I knew was going to be there.
Cool.
So got to see him there, and it was really cool. As for everyone else, yeah, pretty much just meeting for the first day, just about everybody else there.
What do you make of the jerk, Brian Pillman Jr.? Because before I saw the show last week, I would have said loads of great things about him, but after hitting a woman off a ladder, that is just, he took all the, I've got no more respect for Brian Pillman Jr. Okay, I want Ace Austin to slap him around now. I'm still waiting for a response from Brian Pillman Jr. to that response of Ace Austin here on the Ed Fowler Show. But what do you make of all the talent in MLW? Do you think of them are jerks just like Brian Pillman Jr., or do you think, I wish they do very well and win championships in MLW?
Well, yeah, Edward, that's a really good question, because it comes down to the motives of an individual. When you're in there, you have to defend for yourself and do what's best. However, there's certain ways to go about doing that. I'm not going to say one way is right or wrong,
No.
but it pertains to the individual themselves. So however you handle out your business, has to pertain to yourself. But I do know I had met Brian Pillman. He was one gentleman that I'd worked with about a year ago.
Right. Okay.
We had a one show at the Wisconsin State Fair
Nice.
about a year ago. So I was able to be introduced to him and referee one of his matches. And came across a very nice individual trying to, make his way. He was very young in the business at that time. So it was awesome to have crossed paths at where I had very early on in his career. So to see how he carries out business fast forward a year, it's
It's mind
different
blowing.
paths are taken, and we're all out there trying to earn opportunities.
Absolutely, and it's mind blowing. You said now when you saw him in Milwaukee, did he recognize you, or did he think, who's this guy? I don't know who this guy is, or did he recognize you?
Yeah, he had recognized me. Yes, from working back there. I tried to make a point of being known as the referee who tries to handle my job very professionally. And yes, he had remembered from that, which was cool.
Yeah, well, it was cool until a couple of weeks ago, where you think, oh God, I wish I never met him. I bet you're saying inside when you saw the footage on the YouTube.
Yeah, that footage was something, all right. I'd like to get your opinion on it.
Well, my opinion is it's quite straightforward, okay? It's like you never, ever just, use your elbow without looking first, It could have been a woman, it could have been a referee, for example. It could be anybody else. It's not always a wrestler. You always have to look before you're just throwing elbows, nilly-nilly, in any direction. And I hope Aria Blake is not injured, okay, or got a concussion to do with that, because if she does, I hope she sues Brian Pillman Jr. for every penny he's got.
Yeah, it can sometimes be very chaotic inside that ring, to say the least. And even as the standpoint of a referee being inside that ring too, have to be careful at all times. Even the simplest of things can get someone hurt and or put you on the sideline for a little bit. So have to be on top of your game at all times and keep your head on a swivel, as well as know your surroundings too. So no excuse for going crazy. However, in the business that we have, it's a chaotic business. Sometimes the chaos is controlled, and sometimes the chaos is uncontrolled. Yeah. So all you can do as an individual when you step inside that ring is try and be on top of your game and keep yourself as well as others around you as safe as possible.
Indeed. And, this guy is like a good old politician, isn't he? I say it would often here on the Father Show. Usually I say, oh, they don't give you a straight answer, but this guy is defending, kind of defending Brian Pillman Jr., okay? Which is fine, it's fine. I can't wait to have him on the show, I can't wait to have a go at him. It's going to be a great discussion. So pre-warning for Brian Pillman Jr., a great conversation if you can't wait for it. But back to you, though. Of course, you referee the tables, that chaotic, no disqualification 6-man wow match between, of course, Brian Lawler, the Bon Erics against the Contra unit. What a crazy match that was. Walk me through who came up with you and how that happened for you.
Yeah, one of the most chaotic, crazy, awesome, wild matches I've ever been a part of, hands down. Coming into that match, it was a real big feud that had been brewing between Contra Unit and Filthy Tom Lawler. The Contra Unit wants to come into this company and make a stand, make a splash. So where do you start? You attack the top dog, the main guy, the flag bearer carrying the championship, in Filthy Tom Lawler. So they went right for him, and I had seen those videos beforehand of how they kind of captured him and the way they treated him.
Yeah.
So it was on to him to take matters into his own hands and try and even the playing fields. So he went and found some great wrestling lineage in the Von Erich brothers. Much like Contra, where do you start to take down this company? Let's take the champion down. Tom Lawler is thinking, where do I start to defend this wrestling company as well as myself? Let's look to the great family and wrestling family of the Von Erichs. So he did his research and found a couple of brothers to help him out. So it was apparent from the start that this was going to be kind of a blood feud or a pure war zone type match. And it started out very, very quick, very, very hot with the start. The Von Erichs and Tom Lawler came from in the crowd. They had put in a game plan to sneak up on Contra to try and get the upper hand. And before he knew it, all heck broke loose. It was a wild time. And at some point throughout the match, they had duct taped Filthy Tom to the ring post.
That's right.
To kind of eliminate the weapon that is Tom Lawler. So then they could go 3-on-2 beating up the Von Erich brothers. Now, in a match that doesn't really have rules per se, something like taping an opponent up to the post still doesn't fly. It just doesn't sit right. So, at that point, as an official and a referee for MLW, I came running down that ramp with a knife in hand, with plans of freeing up Tom. So, in the midst of that chaos going on, I came out and was able to get loose Tom Lawler from the handcuff tape job that he was on with the pole. So once I had freed him, I returned to the back where Tom Lawler came back as well, to only to come back with a wooden board to take matters into his own hands again and get back at the gentleman who had taped him up to that post. So, it was a wild chaos to start the match. It was wild chaos during the match, and then as the match had ended, it was almost tough to tell that there was an end or even a pinfall in the match, which there was, and the boys had beaten Contra.
Yeah.
However, the chaos had only just started. It was only the eye of the storm at that point. Contra came out in full force, not happy whatsoever, and frankly destroying everything in their path, whether it was tables or the ring itself or referees, gentlemen security from the back. They had really taken matters into their own hands and turned that ring and that arena into a pure war zone. I had never seen anything like it before in my life.
Wow. Well, before you continue, can you tell the audience why you thought to stick your nose into the match? Because you were refereeing the match. I think it was Doug Macklem, or his name is, from guy from Tennessee. He was the referee for the match. You need to come out. You took your business into Contra's business, didn't you, by freeing Tom Lawler?
Yeah.
Did someone tell you to come out, or was it your own personal belief to think, I need to help Tom Lawler out here to make it fairer in the match?
Yeah, great question. And it's and referee Doug was in charge in that match, and is a very experienced individual, and he is great at his job. And even with as much chaos that was going on inside that match, he still did a great job handling it. At that point, us as referees, well trained and schooled in the referee school, to be sanctioned by the states and the country, and to have your official referee's license, there's certain rules and guidelines that you have to adhere by, whether it comes down to the company's discretion or the individual's discretion. It's for the ref brand in particular, there are certain measures that you have to take. And in that case, I wouldn't say it was myself individually, but more of a collective effort to preserve the sport of professional wrestling and uphold the ref brand. is really the reasons why I came down there to free up Tom Lawler for the sake of sport and competition.
Right, and for anyone who may not realize or even know what the ref brand is, it's some gimmick. I'm gonna call it a gimmick. Again, you can tell me off for calling it a gimmick. You can do what you like. It's your podcast. But from my understanding, it's like a gimmick which you go by, and the other referees in Wisconsin go by, calling it the ref brand. Can you describe what the whole momentum behind the word the ref brand came about and how it all started?
Hey, sure, Ed. The pound symbol for the ref brand is a slogan that I came up with when I initially started refereeing inside professional wrestling. It wasn't meant as an individual approach. It was more so meant for those individuals who are referees to have a platform or to have a slogan or to have a moniker that they could keep to themselves. In the sport of professional wrestling, there's a lot of different jobs and different roles. And the role of a referee is one that differs from every other role there is. So I started it as kind of a support group for fellow referees who are part of the brand. Sometimes people get listed as, oh, he's just a referee, or, that guy's a referee, or sometimes in instances with independent wrestling shows, there may not be a referee available. So they may have to find someone else to fill in the role of the referee. So being a sporadic role in the wrestling show, I wanted there to be some sort of a platform where we could find support for one another and post anything that a referee may have, because it takes 3 individuals to make a professional wrestling match. That's 2 opponents and a referee to call the action inside the ring. So to have not a union, but the idea behind a support group, or just a brand that you could represent for the role of the referee is how I started for the ref brand.
There you go. And if you use the hashtag the ref brand on Instagram or even on Twitter, it will bring up this guy, Mr. Perch. So and all the other referees who may use the hashtag ref brand. So if you use a hashtag on Instagram or Twitter, make sure you follow them on Twitter and Instagram, and show all your wrestling friends and all your wrestling bookers out there to book them today. And since we're on the topic of social media, tell the world where the people can find you and follow you on.
Yeah, you can find any of the information that I post on my business page, which is at PerchXLV. Instagram, Twitter, it is at PerchXLV, as well as Facebook at Dan Perch. And the tag that I use for any of the posts that I put out, and I encourage all other referees inside the business of professional wrestling to use hashtag for the ref brand. Not just individual to myself, but I encourage all other referees across the world to use that hashtag as well to support one another.
I like how you say it, across the world. I like it, nice. He's catching on, this guy. It's good. I might have to bring him back on more regularly. This guy's awesome so far. I might have to use him as my personal referee at one point. Now then, of course, let's talk about as well that obviously the big moment at the end of the match. You can continue now when we left off a minute ago. So you came out first time to unhook Filthy Tom Lawler, former UFC fighter. I'm sure would have no problem unhooking himself from the ring post after a while. Anyway, so he returns from the backstage, does some moves, they win the match, and then you then reappear back into the carnage, and you can then tell us what happens next.
Yeah, so after the carnage had ensued, the rest of the referees were sent out to the ring, as well as security. This brawl had become out of control, so we needed all hands on deck to try and contain the Contra unit, which may be conflicting because it is, as you saw, I would say maybe impossible to contain the Contra unit. However, we gave it our best effort for the individuals who were out there. We tried to break up the fighting and bring them to the back. In which case, those 3 men from the Contra unit weren't taking fondly to that whatsoever. So anyone who kind of crossed their paths, they were quick to destroy, for a lack of a better word. And it sprawled from all sides of the ring to all sides of the outside of the ring. They were grabbing drinks from tables. They were throwing things around. Blatant disrespect for for what was going on because they meant business. They didn't care if anything stood in their way. They were going to get their point across and make sure that the Contra unit was known. So at which point the gentleman took the announcer's table. They made quick work with the bell ringer to grab that table from him, and they set it along the side of the ring. And looking at some of the authority and some of the wrestlers across from the table, almost egging them on with Fatu and the Sheik and Grimm, they were really trying to tell the guys to just bring it, cross this line, and we will show you what we really mean. And it was a wild moment. And at that point, I, maybe foolishly, looking back on it, it may have crossed over that line. In which case, I tried to tiptoe, but I was quickly grabbed by the Samoan Jacob Fatu, and he made me look pretty light as he hoisted me up and really just put me through that table and turned the lights out on my night right there.
Indeed, and your facial expression of that, you really made it that it really hurt, because it did hurt, of course. But I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen anybody do some shaky moves like you were doing once you went for the table.
Yeah, when the body takes the impact such as that, the nerves can really send shocks throughout your body, whether it's from the top of the head all the way down to the tip of your toes. I wouldn't say I necessarily blacked out for that moment. However, I lost control of what was going on. So, yeah, it from replays back, it looks like there may have been a few twitches in maybe a leg spasm in there. But yeah, it was devastating, simply devastating.
It was, and then after they put you through the table, I thought, okay, he's out now. Okay, let's see what they're going to do next. Instead, they throw a steel chair on you, or even hit you with it, because that's what it looks like. But again, I wasn't there in person, so I don't know. Do you remember that bit? Do you remember that bit? If they hit you, or they just tossed it on top of you, or?
Yeah, I think it may have been the last thing I do remember before the lights went out was that chair coming across, as if they were really trying to get their point across with taking down the authority figure, and saying, we're not just going to, Fatu isn't just going to throw you through the table. Josef Samuel is also going to take his actions on me with a steel chair. So he was defiant just as well. So yeah, I briefly remember getting hit with that chair as well. And then I believe the actual lights out moment was when Simon put the flag over me.
Right,
so
yeah.
It was almost the symbolism between all 3 members of Contra unit individually, taking actions into their own hand and making their mark on the authority figure of the company of MLW.
Yes, and not to see a footage of MLW, but I mean, you are the face of Milwaukee, and you're like the treasure, a treasure of Milwaukee, and maybe even the son of Milwaukee. I'm sure the people of Milwaukee will agree with me now about that. So yeah, exactly. After that happens, the show kind of ends, and then that happens there. Then at the next show, they win. Of course, we've had 2 wins, the MLW Heavyweight Championship. So the carnage will continue in the following months, probably. But you had a running with Fatu again, didn't you? You had to, make your name again in Milwaukee once again. See, I saw this footage, okay? Now, unfortunately, you may be happy about this. I couldn't find any footage of you being beaten up by him again. But I did see some pictures of it, though. But unfortunately, there's no YouTube videos as of yet. If there is, I would like to see it. So please tweet it to me on Twitter @_Edward Fowler _ Send it to me today. But I did see a picture of the carnage with you. But tell me about it happened in Milwaukee. I believe, I could be wrong again, it was an AAW Pro wrestling show, I want to say. Now, funny story about them. They used to follow me on Twitter. But I think they unfollowed me because I never posted anything to do with their company. I used to, but then just stopped doing it for a while, and I think they got thinking, oh, this guy's not a true fan of us, so let's unfollow him. I think that's what happened. If it is, I apologize. I am always a fan of your company, so please refollow me on Twitter. Would be nice. I did like AAW back in good old Chicago. I think that's where it was based. But back in Milwaukee Pro, Milwaukee Pro Wrestling with AAW, you happen again to give yourself another opportunity to show the Milwaukee fans that you mean business. And how was that night for you?
Yeah, that was it was a wonderful night. AAW is a wonderful company. It was really a pleasure to be a part of that. As again, they came up to Milwaukee, and I was more than happy to try and be a part of that and help out in any way, and was thankful enough to get the opportunity. And what I didn't expect or didn't see coming was I was going to cross paths again with Jacob Fatu.
Right, we're laughing, but I mean the way you said that is just comedy, absolute comedy. So so you came across with Fatu again, but I mean, luckily once again, you weren't the referee for the match either. So there's something going on here where you're not actually refereeing those matches. He just likes to take you out. But tell us about the background of how Fatu was so angry that he took out the first referee for you to come out.
Sure, much like the experience at MLW. When Jacob Fatu comes to the ring, it's no longer just a wrestling match that's going on. This is as real gets. He is a man on a mission, and he is determined, and he is not stopping until he gets to where he is going. So when he comes out there, the intensity and the atmosphere, it's changed. It's intense. It's firing on all cylinders. So the motives that he has are not going to be stopped by anyone in his path. Now, in this instance, the gentleman who tried to step in the way was the champion, Sami Callihan. So
yeah, that nutter, the guy who spits in his hand and shakes other people's hand. Very disgusting human being. I'm sorry you had to be on the same show as him. Very disgraceful guy. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, when you got to stick someone up against Jacob Fatu to try and stop him, who are you gonna put? Okay, Sami Callihan. All right, this match is going to be a wild one, to say the least. In which case, as the match carried on and it took place, the initial referee had been taken out. And there was no referee presiding over the action until a little bit later on. We were able to get another one of our guys out there to try and count the pinfall. In which case, the fate for that gentleman didn't last as long either, because he was taken out too.
Oh, right. Do you know what move he got taken out with?
Oh, it was I believe there was a splash on one, and then a blatant low kick below the belt.
Oh, right. I bet I heard.
Take out. A blatant sign of disrespect.
Yes.
For the authority. And yeah, it was not pleasant to have seen that taking place.
No, yeah. Or for the people of Milwaukee, very, very rude. Bring to the in front of the Milwaukee fans. They deserve better. They deserve respect, don't they?
Yes, and that was a blatant sign of disrespect right there for the authority, and yeah, the people of Milwaukee. You could hear a guttural "oh" from the packed Turner Hall ballroom that night. So it was something. It was once again. Pure war zone that ensued. So again, for the ref brand, we had two of our guys out cold, and Jacob Fatu was in the middle of a pinning predicament where he was going for the win. So he goes for the pin. As well, I come running down the ramp, and as I'm running down the ramp. I slide into the ring, and I took it on my own to count the shoulders down. Although I wasn't the appointed ref for that match, again it was for the ref brand. We do what we have to do to uphold the integrity of the sport and competition. I went in and made the pinfall, in which case Sammy had kicked out at 2. Plain and simple, very clear about that. I counted to 2 as Sammy kicked out. To which case I signaled to the bellkeeper to make sure he was on the same page, and I yelled, "Hey, 2 count." That was 2. Meanwhile, right as I turn around to continue the action, I was met with a very large Samoan super kick, right to the face.
Ooh.
A real blindside job. So once again, at that moment, I had come face to foot with Jacob Fatu. He made his presence known, that he was here and that I had stepped onto his territory again for this sake. In which case the kick had taken me out. And I was quickly met with a running.
Running, there we go. It's different.
A running butt to the face in the corner.
Ooh.
Which at that point turned my lights out. That was it. That was the good night Perch.
Oh, what a shame! What a shame! Again, the son of Milwaukee for the second time in a matter of weeks. And the same guy again, Jacob Fatu, takes you out. He must be upset with taking you out.
Yeah, I'm out there, performing a job. I'm not gonna say not necessarily a union, but like a union worker, just out there doing my job. And yeah, did I cross into his path? Maybe. However, those are the equivalents of those are gladiators out there. Those are wild animals, wild, sports machines out there. They are in the modern times. It's like watching gladiators perform what they do best. So as a referee, I've got to keep a handle on things in there. I've got to make sure that this action that is going on here, doesn't sprawl outside of the ring, and if it does, make sure it doesn't sprawl out to the crowd. So I have to stand my ground when I'm in there. It's a very important role and job to uphold. So I was doing my job. However, again, working with gladiators and giant men, you have to be careful out there. And if they take actions into their own hand, they can. Plain and simple. I am the authority. However, I'm still a normal-sized human being. So if one of these giant men want to take me out, they, as you see by Fatu, takes full opportunity of doing so.
Yeah, indeed. And again, Fatu likes you, and you know, he might even in the future, he may be surprised. He might want to request you personally to be his personal referee. You never know.
Yeah, you know, there's definitions of tough love,
Indeed.
and to say the least, yeah, I've had a couple of tough encounters with Jacob Fatu when he's come to Milwaukee.
Well, we will get on to now as well. Some lighter news, you know, because again, I do my research on the Fowler Show. You know, there's no script, it's uncut, it's uncensored. You know, it's the only show you probably get on podcasting where there's no reading a script here or asking questions written down. They're all in my head, and new questions come to me when I get the answers on my first question. So it's easy for me. And recently, you were involved in a different show. Local show in Milwaukee, and you were decided to get involved in a battle royal.
Oh yeah.
Why on earth would you get involved in a battle royal? Did you think it was so easy? You think, oh, this is easy peasy. I'll hit the right moment to jump in, get the other guys out of the ring and win the match, you know, but as we saw, it wasn't as easy as you thought, wasn't it, Mr. Preach?
Yeah, you know.
Perch, to say. My apologies.
Oh, yeah. No, Perch. Just like the fish. As playing doing the job of a referee, I come encounter with all the different talent inside the ring, whether I'm refereeing their matches or, you know, walking alongside of them. Sometimes, as you know, there's good guys and there's bad guys. As a official and a rule keeper, sometimes I don't make friends with all the bad guys. Fancy that. Not making friends with that. So, at which case, I believe it was the Midwest Slayer, Stacy Shadows, who reached over the top rope and said, "Perch, you're getting in here." In which case she hoisted me up and pulled me into the ring.
Oh wow!
Now, as I mentioned before, you know, we're in the ring with gladiators, and as a referee, I have to hold my ground and claim authority, because the first line of defense, you have to get through me to get through everyone else. Because I am the rules. So that being said, I defended myself to the best of my ability inside that ring once I was brought into the ring.
Gotcha. And I'm going to say I think it lasted at least 5 minutes or less. So it means you had a 5 minute or less fame before being thrown at the ring and going back to your job of calling it and 2 feet hit the floor. Yes.
At the end of the day, there's still a job that has to be done, which is, again, upholding the sportsmanship and the sport itself. And the job that I had to do was, to make sure we announce who gets eliminated and to be very clear that both feet touch the ground in order for someone to be eliminated. So as I was in that ring and got tussled around a little bit, when I was inevitably thrown out of the ring, no matter how it felt or how I was recovering from some action in there, there's still a job that has to be done. You know, for the ref brand, no one else is going to do it, and as a worker, and again, not a union worker, but almost along those lines, no matter how much it hurts or how much pain you're going through, still have to tough it out and perform that job.
You do. And what he's trying to say is that he loves the limelight so much he had to be a part of it. See, he couldn't just sit back and watch other guys, enjoy themselves. He had to get involved. And before the match happened, he talked to, the lady wrestler and said, "Join the match, lift me up into the ring and make it look more like it was you who pulled me in, but it was all my idea." That's the real story.
That is most certainly not true.
Oh, not true.
Most certainly not true.
Oh, I thought you were going to say true. I'm thinking, well, he's admitted on the FR show. I'm going to say that. But okay. Again, that's why we got you on the show, because you can give your side of the story and the fans can pick which side is true. Is my side true, or is the Perch the truest out here. You can make your minds up. So let's talk about now your other shows. What is coming up in August for you, Mr. Perch?
Yeah, in August we've got some wonderful shows coming up. We're in the midst of the Brew City Wrestling Summer Sizzler Tour. You can check that out on Facebook and Instagram for brewcitywrestling1.com. We've got shows at fairs coming up, including the State Fair. But coming up at the end of July here, we've got a great show at, I don't know if you heard about this, Edward, but the Crusher statue. The Crusher was really the heart and soul of professional wrestling in Milwaukee.
Right.
Crusher Country, as it's called down here.
Okay.
He's the man who made Milwaukee famous.
Famous?
Made Milwaukee famous with a keg on each shoulder running from Sheboygan down to Racine and smoking a stogie. The city of South Milwaukee unveiled a statue honoring the Crusher this summer. And we performed a wrestling show and a festival that day.
That's cool.
Now, fast forward about a month, we're having another show right down at the statue, and that's coming up this Thursday.
Nice. That's cool. That's good to hear. And now to be my fans, that's not Crusher Crabe, because we have a Crusher Crabe of Scotland. Okay. He is this big bad monster guy. He was on the first ever episode of this very show. It was episode 1. Yeah. If you've never seen it, you've not listened to it, I recommend you do so. It was an hilarious podcast. Funny guy. Might be the Scottish accent, I don't know, but a hilarious guy. And he is the true Crusher Crabe of the world, okay? And another thing, Wisconsin's not famous. Tell me one thing in Wisconsin of why people should come to your city.
Well, the beautiful state of Wisconsin, it can be summed up by 3 words, and that is go, pack, go.
Okay. I'm guessing that's a football team.
As a proud Wisconsinite, we have the Green Bay Packers up here.
Oh God! Oh my God! But I can't believe this. A Green Bay Packers fan? Really? Oh my God! Go on, tell me why. Why do you support them?
It's in my blood. My grandpa's grandpa, my grandpa, my dad, and myself. It's been in my blood through generations of upstanding the Packer history.
Nice.
And where we're from, it's Packer country up here.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let me tell you who I support. Okay. This will be a big shocker for you. Okay, and you may not like me now, but mine is the Oakland Raiders, soon to be known as the Vegas Raiders. I love saying that every time I get to plug that. I can't wait for that. The Vegas Raiders. It sounds much more catchier than the Oakland Raiders, but that's my team. What about college? Yeah, do you like college football?
Yeah, college football is fun. I'm a big Badger fan.
Okay.
They always have my favorite position, and position that I grew up playing was offensive lineman.
Right.
The Wisconsin Badgers have always had great offensive linemen. So not the most glamorous of positions, but as you're playing football up here in the snowy conditions of winter, those offensive linemen are really the engine that keeps that game running. So yeah, I do enjoy it. I do.
Well, that's good to hear. Of course, my listeners will know who my team is, and it's obviously the best team in the world in college football, Nevada Wolfpack.
Nice.
Yeah, they are a pretty good team, the Nevada Wolfpack, with the Wolves in Nevada. Love it. But yeah, there's a lot of great teams out there, and many people think, why am I supporting the Nevada Wolfpack or even the Portland Timbers of all teams? But, I have to go with the teams where my family are living in. It makes sense, it's logical.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Exactly. So now, and this question I know many people want me to ask you, and I'm going to ask you right now to you, is will we ever see you again in MLW on the road? Maybe not in Milwaukee, but maybe in New York or Dallas, or maybe even, back to the Windy City in Chicago in November?
Yeah, it's a great question, Edward. Here at the office, we're working diligently.
The office.
Myself,
I like that.
and working on making connections and getting papers out there and resumes out there, as well as footage, and really everything that I can to put my business forward in earning more opportunities for shows such as MLW, AAW. Evolve is another company that I'm looking to get on the radar. Really, any of the major companies in the United States as well as the world, I'm looking to send my information along to see how I can best put my best foot forward and be an asset to any one of these companies with a hardworking attitude and teachability. I want to at least get myself an opportunity to try and earn a chance to work with more of these companies, and MLW included. Yes.
Well, we hope to see you down the road, either in MLW or, as you say, Evolve Wrestling. I think that's the first time we've ever actually mentioned Evolve Wrestling on here, so congratulations for making me now have to pay probably for the royalties of that, because they're very famous people.
Yeah, I had reached out to Gabe Sapolsky, the promoter of Evolve Wrestling, in regards to a tryout coming up in Chicago in August. You had mentioned, any big plans coming up for August.
Yeah.
A lot of shows. But one thing that I'm looking forward to, WN Wrestling in Chicago on August 25th. So really looking forward to meeting the gentlemen and ladies of that company and getting my face out there and hopefully, again, working hard, treating people fairly, and trying to earn respect and earn opportunities for a company such as them. So really looking forward to that coming up. Yeah,
well, I wish you congratulations for firstly, and I hope it goes very successful, and I hope they do bring you onto their roster, 'cause I think you'd be a great asset to Evolve Wrestling, and you never know, we may see you on the WWE Network sometime in the future. Did you like what I did there? Finishing that from New Day. I probably have to pay royalties for that now. But yeah, it'd be huge, or even, maybe even basically Bridge might help you to get onto Ring of Honor TV. Still a huge thing. They're coming to the UK later this year. And the next one is, will we ever see you live and in person in the UK?
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea right there. I'm putting in a lot of hard work and continuing to set my goals and set my sights very high, which does not come without hard work and support from other people around me in trying to better ourselves and put ourselves in best position to succeed. That being said, I've got major goals for myself and where I want to be and where I see myself in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Major goals, and that being said, working over in the UK is most certainly something that I would love to achieve, and one of those milestones that I would love to accomplish, and not just to do it once, but to maybe earn an opportunity to spend regular time out there as well as anywhere else throughout the world. So I would love the opportunity to get that done.
That's what's new first, people. So if you see him over in the UK in a few years' time or in a few months' time, you may be thinking, you hear it first. The Only Air Fowler Show, another exclusive for you. We love exclusive things in the Air Fowler Show. And maybe you can bring over Bear City Bruiser, because I said to him on the podcast, I don't know if you listened to it or not, but I did say that if he ever came to the UK, he has to come to the best city in the world, Manchester, UK, to see the best soccer team in the world. Not Manchester City. Forget about them losers. It's all about Manchester United.
Manchester United. How about AC Milan?
Oh, AC Milan in Italy. Okay. I'm glad you know a bit of football, real football. So I'll let you off for that one. Yeah, a little like Inter Milan, because we beat them the other day, so we're happy about that.
Andrei Shevchenko was my favorite player of all time.
Nice. This guy's great. Yeah, I have to get you on there more often, man. You are a great football guy and a great referee, kind of thing. So you're always willing to come back on the AFL show anytime you want to. Even if you get into double E, you still have to come on the show. I don't care if you break the rules. You have to come on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we asked this a lot off the show. I'm just curious. I can't remember what you said when we took it off there before we started this, but did you listen to any of the podcasts from the links I sent you when I reached in contact with you?
Yeah, briefly. I gave it a listen. Yes.
Which episode did you listen to? Do you remember what episode it was?
Ooh, I couldn't tell you which one. It had the link in there, but I couldn't read all the words.
Right. Okay. But from what you listened to, did you like what you listened to? Like what you heard? Just say. I sort of said.
Yeah, Edward. I really like the way you conduct the podcast. It's very straightforward. You handle yourself well. I'm a gentleman who listens to a lot of podcast and radio. I'm a daily busted open listener.
Another person in that radio station. It's my enemy. Only joking. Not really. I'm only joking. They don't know who I am. But I'm just saying that. But yeah, carry on. Yeah. Great people they are. Bully Ray, Mark Henry. I don't know the guy with the glasses, but I know who he is by his face. But yeah, great guys. Excellent podcast. But but as you were saying, they are great.
Yeah, and those guys are great, and all the different podcasts from different wrestlers to get their perspective on things. I love it. I've always grown up, the professional wrestling business in the 90s and early 2000s. It was tough to learn about, more so outside of what you see on the screen.
Of course.
So to have the outlet of podcasts coming around and radio shows, and with them being easily accessible. To watch or listen to wrestling from another standpoint, not necessarily behind the scenes, but just a different angle. I've always been fascinated with. So, being honored to be on your podcast here, Edward, and seeing how you handle yourself and conduct business, it's an absolute pleasure. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. And that's one thing Busted Radio can't do. They can't really say you're the first ever, guy from Milwaukee to ever come on any podcast. They can't do that now because I've done it first. So, and again, if you get contacted by them in a few months or whenever, I'm sure it'll be fantastic, but I'm sure they won't ask you interesting questions or, in questions which matter, Many people who've been on the show before always say that this is the best show because it's a very free time, because they say other podcasts they listened to before coming on mine, they say it's more genetic, like they have loads of questions to ask. They don't really follow on from what the people say. On my show, they say it's go with the flow, kind of podcast, no questions. I ask what they want, and then I go off from what they answer, kind of thing. So I hoped it came across like that when you were on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, Edward. Absolutely. This has been a pleasure. It's been fun to talk about pro wrestling with you too.
There we go. And another question we always say to my guests now is because why not let my guests pick who should come on the show next? So over to you, Mr. Perch. Who do you think I should get in contact next to ask them some serious questions like I did with you? Because you said I asked you some great questions. Because you're on the best show, why not? So, who do you think from the wrestlers you've met or know, who do you think I should get in touch with next to come on the AAW show, the best podcast?
Yeah, I know, Edward. That's a great question.
There we go. Another great question by me.
Plain and simple. You asked the right one. You asked the hard-hitting questions. The ones with depth. The ones with subject.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, this has to do my voiceover. There we go.
The one person I would say that really is a awesome story, and to try and hear her standpoint would be the Midwest Slayer, Stacy Shadows. Really, she's been on the professional wrestling scene for a long while now, and starting to well, not starting, but continuing to earn opportunities with major companies such as Ring of Honor and the Women of Honor.
Yeah.
So the Midwest Slayer, Stacy Shadows, is one person who I would, as much as I can, I would try and latch onto her career and follow her trajectory as it's going to continue to go up.
There you go first, ladies and gentlemen. The Perch has spoken. He says, I shall get Stacy here on the Fowler Show. Now, if that doesn't happen, then you can do two things. You can complain to myself and Stacy together, or you can complain Stacy for not coming on the show. You know, it's not me. I reach out to him. If they've got an email, I will reach out to him. If they've got no public information about the email, then I can't do nothing, so I can't help you. So I'm hoping Stacy has an email. And if you're listening to Stacy, get in contact with me. My DMs are open on Twitter, so feel free to DM me if you hear this, if you haven't got an email. So DM me on Twitter today if you're interested in coming on the podcast. You know, the Perch been on here. Shane Taylor's been on here, the TV champion, the current TV champion. He was very dominant. And, of course, Beer City Bruiser as well. Great guy. I love saying Bruiser like that, you know. Bruiser. You know, I don't know why I said that, but yeah, there we go. But yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anything else you would like to mention, which you may think, I didn't mention to you, but you think is very important to get off your chest?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Just wanted to say another big show coming up to the Wisconsin area in September. Ring of Honor is coming to Milwaukee. Nice. And that's going to be an awesome show. Again, I'll be filing some paperwork and trying my best to be involved with that in any way or form that I can, because a lot of respect for those guys and all they've helped me with, and in a spot that I would love to help with in any way I can. So yeah, they'll be coming to Milwaukee in September. So a good show to look out for, as well as anytime they're in the Midwest. Ring of Honor, they are great company and they always bring it, which is cool. And then the other thing is, you know, just along this journey, I thank you very much for allowing me to be on, you know, my first podcast ever right here.
Okay, there we go, exclusive.
The exclusive, yes, you heard it here first. And, you know, to give a platform, because, you know, as myself, I have individual goals in this business. However, I'm not someone where it's all about me. It's all about the people around myself, and, you know, trying to better everyone who I'm involved with as well. If we're all performing to a high level, that means the product that we're all giving is going to be a high level, you know, show and come across to the fans to get them engaged. So, you know, as much as possible, love to be involved in this sport, in this career, and it's a true passion for the wrestling business. So, you know, whether you're a wrestler in the business or a bell ringer, an announcer, or a referee. You can join along with the hashtag Celebrate Pro Wrestling, which is a motto that I put out there to really just embrace and celebrate all aspects of professional wrestling, from the fans who are the lifeblood of the show and what we do it all for, as well as to the workers putting on the show. You can help celebrate pro wrestling and come together with all of us. You know, joining together to celebrate this sport that we all love, that we all truly have the passion for. So celebrate pro wrestling, as well as hashtag for the ref brand, for any referees out there throughout the world, globally, who want to, you know, celebrate or you know, promote any refereeing that they do, or any part of the match that has to do with themselves or referees. And that's not just pro wrestling in general. That's referees all together. Whether you're, you know, wearing shorts on the pitch, or wearing ice skates on a rink, or, you know, wearing some cleats on the turf, or wearing some shiny black wrestling boots inside the wrestling ring. Hashtag for the ref brand to help, you know, promote all of us in the refereeing world. So a couple of plugs I like to put out there to
feel
help
free.
the overall community of professional wrestling, as well as you can follow my journey, which is at PerchXLV. That's on Instagram and Twitter, as well as Dan Perch on Facebook. So feel free to send any messages. I like responding and keeping interaction going, because this is a long process. But it starts with really the words that Adam Pearce taught me was work hard, treat people fairly, and earn respect. So with that being the core foundation, try to put out the best work possible, as well as keeping a smile on the face every day and involving as many people as I can inside this world of professional wrestling, to really enjoy it from friends to family to everybody around the world. Absolutely love it, and the passion runs deep. And feel free to follow along. It's a great journey.
It is indeed, and you have to. And again, if you are in the location of a show where Mr. Perch is going to be at, I recommend you to come out and see him in action. Because if you don't, then you can be squared, because you're going to miss the best action you can't find anywhere else, and you're going to miss the best damn referee in the area. So if I was you, be in the area at the right time and see him in action. Go follow me today. Show them to your wrestling friends, and tell your bookers, tell your promoters to book him at every show possible. Keep him active every single day of the week. Now, there's one more thing I would like to say to you is as well, because I reached in contact with you ages ago. You may not remember this, but I did to say come on this show, but you declined me at first. So when I got in contact with you, a few months ago, I thought, why is this guy messaging me again? I've already told him once I do not want to come on the show. But when I got your email today to say, I can come on your show, okay, interesting, I like it. So you must have changed your mind.
Yeah, it's as mentioned before. I'll mention it for the first time. The professional wrestling business. It can be said pretty quick as summed up the pro wrestling business, or you can break down all three of those words. Professional wrestling business. Starting with, you have to handle yourself professionally inside of here. And it's the more of a professional you conduct yourself, the more opportunities that can come about in being a good person to work with. Wrestling, it's what we do. It's the show that we put on. It's the sport that we play and what we conduct. And then business, well, that's a very important part of it as well, and that's the part that I'm continuing to try and grow with, getting the business page out there. In modern day, where someone can see you online and almost know everything about you before ever meeting you, it's very important to put a good business page or a storefront out there, and that's where sometimes time can be very consuming, and the business end of things, the in pile can start stacking up with papers, and the out pile, it just doesn't quite get there. Yeah. So I'm continuing to try and feed as much as I can inside the office of taking that in pile and transporting it to the out pile. So looking to do as much business as I can, and and my apologies that it took as long as it did, but no, I try and stay diligent and continue to work on the business end of things, which is having people as nice as yourself to involve me in. So I apologize for the length of it, but I thank you greatly for inviting me on the podcast.
Yes, the second time. The second time. I thought, I can't remember when I did inbox you, but again, it might have been ages ago, but I thought, what, let's give it a few years, I'll try them again. That's one thing, I don't give up with people, they say no to me, I'm going to try and get them back on the show. So if you ever said no to me in the past, I'm going to keep trying to get you on the show. That means you may, decide to mute me, block me, whatever you want me to do. I'm still going to try and reach in contact with you, because I never say no. No is not an option for me. I always get you on it eventually. And it's a great example.
And that's a strong mentality to have, especially anything dealing with, the professional wrestling business, is stay-to-itiveness. to continue to stay. It's a very, very fast-paced world, and you're from one place to another to another. It's very important to stick with it, whether that's myself sending the resumes and videos and footage to other companies and promotions, to continue to stay with it again and again and again and again, just to try and stay on the radar. So the fact that you're doing that as well, that's great. That's sometimes that's how things get done, is to stay on the radar. So no, I thank you for doing it, Edward. And you did the right thing, sticking with it. It's not what I've learned is a no is never a no forever.
Yeah. That's a great one. I like it.
It's just hey, at this time and place, it's hey, not right now. So no, it's never a no for good, and there'll always be an opportunity somewhere down the line. So you stuck with it, and we were able to conduct this, and I thank you just as much. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And again, that's a great a great advice to anybody who listens to the show now. So if you just heard that advice, then you know what to do now. And again, let no say no to it, because again, no is not forever.
Absolutely, no is not forever. As well as the other tough lesson to learn was it's all right to make mistakes once in a while too.
Yeah.
As long as you learn from it. A couple of things that you can easily you get a response and then you turn your back to and walk away from is, if you get a no, don't just turn your back and walk away and close it forever. Stay with it, because it's, again, no doesn't mean forever. It means just for now, as well as making mistakes. If you make a mistake, whether it's inside the ring or really anything in life, don't be discouraged, again, to never try it. Don't turn your back on it and never try it again because you made a mistake. No, learn from it. Try and salvage as much as you can out of it, so when you attempt it the next time, you may be a little bit better.
That was my full conversation with Dan Perch there. Of course, 2 minutes time with Major League Wrestling, how he broke into the business, who trained him, etc., etc. Great insight as always, and I'm still in contact with Dan Perch to this day in 2024. So who knows when Dan Perch may reappear on this channel again. I know he's very busy, as I mentioned before, with Game Changer Wrestling. He's been to Japan now as well. So he's done a lot of exciting things since 2019 after being put through a table by Jacob Fatu. But who knows what the future will hold for Dan Perch, but hopefully we will cover it here on the show. Now, then, let's talk about this, because recently I've decided, because of course Google Podcasts, for anyone who's listening to the show on Google Podcasts, of course you all found out that unfortunately they've closed the doors, haven't they now? And so they merged with YouTube with all future podcasts. So I finally decided to take that step and bring my audio version of my show onto my YouTube channel. And it seems crazy. I know what you mean. I'm with you with that. I wasn't very on board with it at first, but I thought, why not, let's just give it a go. So I've now synced my podcast with my YouTube channel, so you can now listen to this show on my YouTube channel with all the past episodes from my flashbacks, and of course all my new videos, which you can watch on my YouTube channel anyway, all in one place. As well, you can listen to the show on YouTube Music. So we're now officially on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, obviously, and wherever else you get your podcasts. If there's a site where you can't find the show on, let me know and I will contact that directory to get my show added for you to listen to on your favorite platform. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this great episode of my flashbacks from over 5 years ago now. Kind of quickly, I can't believe that's gone too fast. Probably as well, by the time I found it back then to now, I'm hoping I sound a lot better than I did when this episode was airing at the time. But until the next flashback episode, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
You've been listening to The Edward Fowler Show. Subscribe and leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, or follow on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts to get new and flashback episodes every week. More on Facebook and Instagram at Edward Fowler Show and edwardfowlershow.com.